Okay, we're going to be doing an ab exercise. So we're going to do a leg lift, but we're focusing here on keeping the pelvis very, very still. So I want to have my rib cage down on the floor, no gap here. It's okay if I have a small gap between my low back and the floor, but I just don't want to be up like this. So see how my rib cage is really thrusting up, my pelvis is really dumped forward. So I just want to try to get that neutral by bringing the rib cage down. Hips are nice and heavy on the floor. And I'm going to take my hands and gently drag them up the wall. So I don't want to have my elbows out like this. It's going to get really painful in my shoulders really quick. Try to have your elbows a little bit closer together and feel free to get as close to the wall as you need so that you can keep this position. So again, get that rib cage back down on the floor, thinking about the hips being nice and heavy on the floor. So we're going to start with a very, very small leg lift by inhaling, lifting the leg, and then exhaling the leg back down, trying to keep the hips completely still. So I'm really having to use the deep core muscles here. Inhale up. Exhale from the bottom up. So I'm getting that small pelvic floor contraction. Dragging my hands up the wall as I lower back down. Inhale back up. Exhale, drag those hands from the bottom up, deep core muscles coming on. So I want to feel through here. You can even take one hand off the wall just to make sure you're getting this. Inhale, little bit of expansion. Exhale, this tissue should all be moving away from my hand. And my pelvis should be staying very, very, very still as I come back down to the floor. Now, if this is too hard, and it's too hard with the hands on the wall, you can just start putting your hands on your rib cage. Exhale them down. Then, instead of lifting the leg, you can just slide the leg out a little bit. Inhale back in. Exhale, slide it out a little bit. Inhale back in. Now, if you have a wooden floor, you can take a shirt and just put it on the floor or a cushion and slide that, and that makes it a little bit easier too. It's a little bit harder on the grippy mat. But what you're trying to do here is build this stability in the hips. So not having to use the back, you're not kind of going like this and everything's lifting up and you're getting too much length here and opening through the abs. You want to try to keep everything here locked down, rib cage down to the floor, exhaling out, keeping the hips very still, inhaling back in. So as you feel more comfortable with this, you can make it harder as well. You can start lifting up the leg, inhale, exhale long, getting all of those deep core muscles to come on. Still, no bulging here as I lift out, no lifting off the floor with my rib cage. So again, inhale up, exhale, nice and long. If that's feeling easier, you can go both legs up the floor, up off the floor. So now this is much harder. Now I'm having to stabilize two hips, which is going to make it twice as hard. I'm going to inhale at the top and just start with touching one toe down to the floor. Inhale back up. Exhale, touching one toe down to the floor. And you can alternate with this, but this is so much harder because you have to really have this stability here to not go and drop down and then wiggle the hips to come up and the other side, and then see how my rib cage wants to come up as well. I need to have this very stable, strong core and be able to connect the pelvic floor and the breath and the deep core muscles all together, so I'm not dumping forward to come down and rocking. So pelvis completely still. Inhale at the top, exhale, touching down. Inhale up, touching down. Okay? So As you feel stronger with these, you can start making it harder and harder, and adding the hand drag here can be really helpful for keeping everything a bit more stable. So if I have my hands dragging up, I've got to use my lats, my serratus muscle a little bit, and then I can exhale down, inhale up, and there's more tension in my system to keep everything on board. So rather than just being on the floor and feeling like everything is going to lift away. So a couple of things to think about when you're doing leg lifts. Can you really engage the deep abs, or are you having to rock the hips forward and back to come up and down?